Welcome back to Real Phonies, where we take a love for movies and television and combine it with very little knowledge about movies and television. I'm your host, Christian. Join me are my co-host, Joseph.
Hello.
And Jehu.
Cacao!
Back again with kind of a quasi-sequel. We've done biopics before, but now we're pitching biopics.
Did we do biopics or wait, hang on. Actually, this is the first thing to get out of the way. Is it biopic or biopic?
I think both are acceptable.
I say biopic is correct, but biopic is probably more what we're talking about.
See, I think biopic is correct, but it just sounds annoying to say it that way.
Right.
I actually think biopic is like an actual word, and biopic is movie pictures about people. I may be mistaken there, but I've always considered when you say biopic, you're referring to a movie about an individual. But I guess biopic also works.
I think that's for you're gonna make me look this shit up. That's okay. We all have access to the internet all the time.
I don't believe in the internet. It's
yeah.
How do I look it up? Do I look it up? Biopic versus biopic.
You know what?
Which is it?
You know what? The very first Google result has it for the pronunciation as biopic. So hard to argue with Google, but I'm going to argue with Google. I think it's wrong. I say biopic.
See, I think like the Gandhi movie is a biopic. Walk the Line, that's a biopic.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. Now we're going to have to determine that after all of our pitches.
Yeah.
I
only have biopic pitches.
Oh, good. As you mentioned, Christian, I think we did music biopics specifically.
Yep.
But in this instance, we're going for we're expanding our scope and talking about people or groups that we think would make interesting biopics that haven't been made yet.
True. I did music and non-music in my selection of people.
I got really intimidated about doing music ones because you guys are on this podcast.
So I figured what was going to happen was I would do both. Joseph would do none. Jehu would do only.
Actually, you're wrong. I have a music. And I have two non-music.
Wow.
Oh,
I'm so surprised.
I have 4 and 3 of 4 are music. No, that's not true. I have 5. 2 are music, 3 are not.
Well, do you want to kick us off with one of your favorite music ones?
Sure. Let's see. Of my 3, which is the one I want to start with? I'm going to go in Chuck Mangione. Mostly because how does a guy write a top 10 record playing the flugelhorn? I don't know, but he did it. And I'd be curious to see how that happened. Obvious name for my movie is Feel So Good, because again, it's the only song that features
Definitely.
a flugelhorn. My fan cast is Mark Ruffalo. Because I feel like he looks like that guy.
Fair enough.
But mostly I just want to know, he's from Brooklyn, New York, grew up playing jazz music, features in a lot of different big jazz artists in the 60s and early 70s. I just want to know how he convinces someone to say, hey, I'm going to make a track record, or, I'm going to make a jazz record, and then gets it on pop radio and becomes pretty famous all across the world. I mean, again, everyone knows the song Feel So Good. So, Chuck Mangione, that's my first pitch.
First of all, I'm ready to quit because that one's the best one. Let's just podcast over. I fucking love that one. Second of all, I love Chuck Mangione because I'm convinced he created the weirdest genre of music. And not even the weirdest, the most specific. And that is music that played at Kmart.
Interesting.
Because Kmart, for the 70s and the 80s had their own house music that they made that was basically all instrumentals of pop songs, and it all sounded like Feel So Good. And you also heard Feel So Good a lot in Kmart. I never hear that song and don't want to buy a Transformer. As soon as I hear it, it's like, man, I need to buy a fucking Transformer right now. So yeah, I love this one.
I'm pretty sure my dad saw Chuck at the Sanger in Mobile in 1978. So
also had a comeback in the 90s on King of the Hill.
Did not know that.
Yeah, he's featured in a few episodes of King of the Hill.
Yeah. So that's my first one.
Is the follow-up logic to your Chuck Mangione biopic that at some point we have to have a Kenny G biopic?
Oh, see, it's different though. I feel like the saxophone is much more widely accepted. Number one, it's one letter off from saxophone. Number two, it's just something a lot of kids play. But like I would say 3% of trumpet players learn how to play the flugelhorn, and 99.8% of people don't even know what a flugelhorn is.
I was about to say, I would say less than 1% of people could pick a flugelhorn out of a lineup.
Correct.
Also, I would say that Kenny G had almost the opposite effect, because rock songs used to feature saxophones prominently. And I think the reason that went out of fashion was because of the backlash against Kenny G.
Also true.
Fair enough. So that's your first one?
Yep.
All right. My first one, and probably the one I feel best about that I think needs to happen. I'm a big fan of your social networks and your jobs, where it's about, kind of about these modern quote unquote visionaries. And, once you kind of peel back the curtain on their life, they're kind of just selfish assholes whose the combination of their own greed and the brutal but beneficially brutal nature of a capitalist society allows them to succeed on the backs of their own terribleness. So the next person I think that's very logically in line for this is Elon Musk.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck about his personal life, but he was actually like born in South Africa, had like kind of a childhood story. He came to America, started his own software company, which, to be fair, credit to him versus Steve Jobs, Elon Musk can't actually program. So that's a plus. But mostly I want to get into the shit beyond that, where they just kind of turn into these charismatic pop culture figures that are more words and ideas than they are actual practice. And obviously we at some point in the third act have him smoking weed with Joe Rogan, or a Joe Rogan substitute in the movie. But it's one of those movies where the bad guy wins. Even in The Social Network, the bad guy kind of loses a little bit because you find out that he's sad. But I want this one to be Elon Musk's succeeds at exactly what he wants to be. He's just a famous rich asshole.
I've told you guys that I believe that The Social Network has the wrong ending, right?
I don't think we've talked about this.
The Social Network has the wrong ending. The wrong ending, The Social Network. I mean, the ending of The Social Network should not be that we find out he's sad because nobody, because he's an asshole and nobody likes him. The correct ending to it is Farmville.
Ooh, yeah.
Because he the whole time he was trying to build something elite that everyone would want to come to. But Farmville's really the entrance for everybody's fucking aunt and uncle that turned it into basically just Walmart on the internet. Like something just anybody can fucking do and it doesn't matter.
I like that.
Man, I played a shit ton of Farmville back in the day. I had a real big farm on Farmville.
This is not a diss on Farmville. Farmville's fine. I'm just
I'm just you've made me nostalgic for my farm. I used it to reconnect with my high school history teacher, who now turns out to be a racist. But you know what? It was a nice time at the time.
That's what's fucking awful about the internet. People you should just never know are awful people. You get to find out.
100%.
Who would play Elon Musk?
So the correct answer here is Bern Gorman. Like, without a doubt.
God, that's so good.
It's perfect. But I don't think that he's got the necessary star power. As far as people that I think could be cast, and like, if Regina still listens to this podcast, like, she's going to be so mad at me for fucking saying this. But I think the correct person is Rami Malek. He's got the right kind of weird but overconfident energy and strange shape of face, I think, to cover the Elon Musk bases. So Rami Malek is my first choice. I really like after Bern Gorman, which again is not going to happen.
That's good. I would say one thing that you were dead on about this, whether Fincher realizes this or not, Elon Musk absolutely should be the subject of The Social Network too if they were to make it.
Oh no, for sure. And I love these movies. I love watching this, hating these people. It makes me feel better on the inside.
The nihilist in me really
there's something about
absorbs it up. Yeah.
So I'm super jazzed about this, so I can have conversations with my friends about what a piece of shit Elon Musk is, which I already do, but I want to do it after the movie.
Who's going to play Grimes in it?
I don't know.
Probably just Grimes.
It could be.
The thing is, I feel like Elon Musk has his head up his ass far enough that if you were making a shitty movie about Elon Musk would want to star in it.
It's possible, but I wouldn't watch that.
I wouldn't watch that either, but I'm saying even if it was a Hatchet job,
Yeah.
he would want to star in the Hatchet job.
Yeah.
Jehu, what's your first one?
Well, I won't spend too long on my first one because I kind of already talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I also talked about this for 4 straight weeks. But I read a book called Van Halen Rising. It's part of a few Van Halen books I read. But the whole time I was reading this, I kept thinking, I don't even think it should be a biop. I think it should be a series along the lines of The People versus O.J. Simpson. Like the whole time I was reading this, I was like, man, every one of these chapters is an episode. And it really, each one has its own sort of like theme and escalation. It starts with them, it starts with his parents' struggle the Van Halen brothers' parents' struggle because their dad was a musician who sort of didn't quite make it as big as he would have liked. And then them learning to play music. Then that leads into the Van Halen brothers doing cover bands and David Lee Roth being a rival cover band. A great episode would be David Lee Roth's power play to get into the band, which was essentially that he, they weren't really very vocal oriented. Eddie was singing and they were mostly for musicians, and Eddie just kind of screamed and didn't really do a good job about it, but they had went as far as they can go with that, and they realized they needed a singer and they needed a PA. David Lee Roth had already tried out for them twice, and they had said, fuck nah, because at that point he was kind of a shitty singer. So basically he weaseled his way into the band by letting them borrow a PA that he owned under the guise that, well, I'll get up and sing a couple songs at the show. And basically he just kept showing up and kept doing that till he was in the band. One of rock and roll's great power plays, that really paid off for him in spades. Again, there'd be escalations to the giant backyard parties that they do in the 70s that basically turn into riots and shit. I just think it could make a really good series. As far as casting, it's hard to do because everybody who would need to be in this would need to be like 14 right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know about casting, but that's basically all I'll say on that one.
You don't want to go back to Googling hot young people again, Hurt?
I really don't. That always comes to me my problem. I don't know anything about any hot young people after about 1999, and all those people are old and saggy now. So
correct.
I there's no way for me to do it without getting on a watch list.
Correct. I completely understand.
I love it. I knew you were going to go Van Halen. I did not
Right.
specifically because of it. Because there is a band that I think we all know that I would probably go to, and that's Led Zeppelin. And that's my next one. Specifically, it is a John Richard Baldwin biopic. Stage name, John Paul Jones, the bassist for Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Because I think John's probably the most interesting person in the band. He is oftentimes called the quietest member of Led Zeppelin. He's the one that I think there's probably the fewest stories about, though he would tell you, the whole band would tell you there was a lot of made up shit about them. And he would tell you he did his fair share of the sin and debauchery that the other members got into as well. But what I think is interesting about him is he grew up in a family of musicians. He was a producer before he was a part of the band and a studio musician. That's how he met Jimmy Page. He is really there from the very beginning. Him and Jimmy started the band together. And besides Page and Plant, pretty much has been involved with everything the band has done since then. So it would be like one of these films where we see all the sin and debauchery and crazy and drug addiction. And in this case, it really does kind of lead to the band's downfall, but through the lens of the person who at least commonly is known as the least likely to do these things. So this person who is there for the whole life of the group, but also the one who's just basically like watching John Bonham, drink himself to death. And
I feel like you're proposing almost a new version of the movie Almost Famous, but they're actually in the band.
That's a fair comparison. I didn't think about it when I was doing it, but that's actually very close.
I mean, I kind of like that.
A fan cast. I didn't think of the whole band. Oh, name Black Dog because it's got a sick bass line in that song.
That's true.
I did say if I did think if they were making a Zeppelin biopic from Bonham's perspective, When the Levee Breaks, because the drum set part in that song is sick. But fan cast Andrew Garfield as John Paul Jones.
I'm into that.
I like that a lot.
That's my Zeppelin pick.
I'm really into that, specifically from it being from the viewpoint of John Paul Jones, because if it's from the viewpoint of Page or Plant, those guys really believe in themselves.
It's too much about them as individuals, not about the band.
Right. And if it's about Bonham, then it becomes a tragedy, but having it, it's almost like being from an outsider who's on the inside. And man, would I, in his book, how does he take the Page and Plant thing? I've never read his book.
Yeah, not great. He took some personal offense to it.
I mean, he should. It was a personal diss.
Yeah, he the only quote I ever remember about it is him just basically being like, I was never asked, it was assumed that I did not want to be a part, and that was completely not true. And this is his political, PC answer is, I was never asked and they didn't want me a part, and I would have done it had someone asked, but no. So besides that, he was, he's done everything they have done when they played with Bonham Jr. and Phil Collins. He did both of those 3 unions.
Right.
That's it.
Cool. So you don't have another musical one, correct?
Yeah, I thought it was your turn.
It is my turn, but I was before I get into it, I'm just surprised. I fully expected someone to pitch a Prince biopic because it's coming.
Okay,
it's coming whether we want it to or
not.
Too
soon.
No,
the thing
it's not.
is about Prince is the most interesting thing about Prince. The only way a Prince biopic would be a Prince documentary would be more interesting than a Prince biopic.
For sure.
That's fair.
Stories about Prince are way more interesting than trying to view Prince as a person.
I hope somebody makes that. Yeah. I completely agree.
The story about him, breaking the Black Eyed Peas guy's guitar and shit like that. That's way more interesting than trying to get inside of Prince's head as to why he would have broken the Black Eyed Peas guy's guitar.
Right.
That sort of shit. So, that was one I thought of, but I was like, I'm just more interested in not knowing that. And I had a few punk rock bands, but I realized I was just going to be talking to myself. So so that's why I sort of limited myself on music. My
pick for the second one, this is probably my second most complete one, which is your fall dad movie for, whenever that comes back around to be a thing. I think it should be a biopic about Paul Newman. Specifically Paul Newman getting into auto racing after already being a movie star.
Man, that would be great because he took that shit really seriously.
I know. I was reading up on it, and apparently he drove the 24 hours at Le Mans, the one I didn't fucking know that. So I don't know. I want to see it his kind of general rise, that kind of stuff, but specifically that portion where he kind of sneaks into it. And I like to imagine that all of his Hollywood people are making fun of him and giving him a fucking hard time. And he's like, no, I'm serious. I really want to race. And then, he gets good at it and, you get the story, but, I think it would be fun for the whole family. And your dad would really love it.
Right.
I love that.
Not either of your dads specifically, just all dads.
Right. And they need to do that shit soon because the generation that's going to be interested in that will be dead in 15 years.
That's true. So the people that I came up with, and I haven't gotten a perfect fit. My first thought was Robert Pattinson. The problem with all the people these days is all the handsome guys with square jaws are too fucking muscly. It just you can't put fucking Henry Cavill in as Paul Newman because he's just gonna he's gonna look stupid. So Pattinson was my first choice, just a general looks frame kind of thing. As far as bringing the right energy to it, I like John Hamm. Even if he might be a little old at this point. But I'll tell you, this is the one time I'm ever going to say this because I don't think that he was a particularly good actor, but the one person who would actually be perfect for this fucking role was Paul Walker.
Yeah, he would have been great.
That is true. Yeah.
R.I.P. Paul Walker. You missed your one good movie that you could have done.
I still think Pattinson's a real great choice because I think he kind of looks like young Paul Newman in a way.
I think so too. I just don't think he's got like that easy charisma, like that really like loose. But that's more the John Hammond thing that I was going for. But that's my second choice.
I like that a lot.
So for my second choice, I was going to go comic books, and the easy choice for me would have been Kirby, particularly since I'm reading a Kirby bio comic right now. But as I was doing it, I was like, you can't really do this right because you would need the rights to use so much Marvel and DC material while shitting on those companies. So there's no way you could ever do that biopic right. So I think what would make a great biopic is something about the inception of Image Comics, about basically the 7 artists who left Marvel all at once to form Image Comics.
See, I feel like you're on the right track here, Hurt, because things that I like in a biopic are not necessarily ones that are just about one person, though it is helpful to have like a singular point, of reference for the audience. But I like ones where it's about one person, but it's really about like just this specific chunk of time and like the culture that was going on right then. So I really like this premise.
Right. And it's one of those things that it kind of works, even though it's about this time, it kind of works in viewing other things. Because these guys really, like when they left, it was so, first of all, they left at the time that they were the biggest comic book stars on earth. And they had sort of started to become bigger stars than the characters themselves. An idea how big they were at this time. Rob Liefeld starred in a Levi's commercial directed by Spike Lee. And that
sounds
crazy.
Like Mad Libs.
Right. And right at that height, they were basically all unhappy with the share they were getting from Marvel and basically, how they were being treated. And so they gave them an ultimatum. Marvel said no. And they all 7 walked at once. And it was pretty fucking beautiful. Like Marvel had to just run around, scramble to even deal with this because they had created titles for these guys. And then they go and their initial launches are these huge successes, selling millions of copies of every issue. And then, as you want in a biopic, they just fuck it all up. They arrogance and ego and just immediately turning into the exact thing they were sort of running from, just basically turns it, into crap. But it would I think it would have a good ending. It sort of has the same ending as the 10 Commandments. How, Moses leads everybody through the desert, but then he doesn't get to go in at the end because he's an asshole. The ending to that for the Image 7 is The Walking Dead. The thing that they tried to start, they're not really, really benefiting from right now, but they created the thing where those guys could become fucking millionaires and household names.
Right.
So as for casting, man, I knew Miles Teller is one of them. He's either McFarlane or Liefeld. I think the casting on everybody else doesn't really matter. Like most of the other guys are just nice guys who were good comic book artists. Jim Lee is, obviously the smartest businessman out of all of them, and the nicest dude probably. But so really the casting for me only matters on McFarlane and Liefeld. And I think probably Miles Teller on McFarlane because he has just the right smarmy charm and kind of looks like him. And what's the kid who played Han Solo's name?
Alden
Ehrenreich.
Actually, no, that's not. I don't think that's the one. Maybe that's the one. That's the one I'm thinking.
Are you thinking about Baby Driver? Because they're also the same person.
I am thinking of Baby Driver. Baby Driver is because he has the same square head. And
I don't remember that kid.
He's got an even dumber name, I feel like.
But yeah, that's my pitch for Image Comics.
I like it.
I like that a whole lot. That's a good one. Are we doing a third one or no?
I'm pretty happy with my third one. So
Ansel Elgort.
Ansel fucking Elgort. What a fucking made up bullshit name.
Let's do one more round. All right. So this is my least favorite one that I came up with. because I feel like it's the most likely to be made.
Okay.
So I just was thinking to myself, kind of like you were talking about with Prince, Joseph, like it's just inevitable that someone's going to do it, but I don't know that I want to see it. And then once I was on that train, I kind of wrote like a whole paragraph of shit I expect to see out of this movie. So I'm going to pitch it anyway, which is the name of the movie is Lame Duck. And it is the transition period between George W. Bush's presidency and Barack Obama's. The reason why George W. Bush, incredibly hated dude in America at that time. Barack Obama, incredibly well-loved dude during that time. Bush was fairly active during his lame duck session. He passed a lot of bills that he claims anyway that set Obama off on the right foot. It was the beginning of a lot of the bailouts we saw, stuff like that. So it would really be a look at these two men and one of them coming to the end of basically his career, one starting it as per the United States, one of them hated, one of them loved, just like polar opposites. As for cast, my dream cast, though this would never happen, would be Will Ferrell and Will Smith, because I think both are connected with each individual role so much already.
Damn,
Will Ferrell could like do an actual serious take on W, and everyone has already fan cast Will Smith into the eventual Barack Obama biopic anyway. However, the cast that I think that would do really, really well is Chiwetel Ejiofor, or however Joseph says it.
Better than that.
And Martin Freeman.
All right.
I could get into that. Martin Freeman, actually, I'd never thought.
I like that you're shipping all of our American jobs overseas, you son of a bitch.
Yep, British people are better. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, he really looks like Bush. I'd never thought of that.
Yep, but that's my own.
I propose the title for this as The Two Popes 2, but in America.
Two presidents. Yeah, Two Popes is exactly what it would be. I had forgot that movie existed because I did not enjoy it. But it is Two Popes. It would be that movie.
Yep.
Right.
I like it. So I got a couple more that I might just save for later, because really what I was kind of curious in thinking about this whole process and all of the biopics that we've seen and biographies that like famous biographies, like what's that guy, Ron Chernow, the guy that did Hamilton and Grant and all these kind of things. Is the thing about a lot of these biographies or biopics is that they kind of become the definitive story of this person's life. And so I'm kind of interested in the idea of like a meta biopic where it's a biography or a story about the biographer. Kind of uncovering the details of this person's life, kind of again like the deep dive, like a Ron Chernow type, where you're uncovering shit that no one's ever seen before to present this story of whoever this person's life is. But then you also get to choose what to put in, what not to put in, and how to frame the stuff that you choose to put in, how you frame to put the stuff that you don't put in. So you really are getting the opportunity to shape both like public perception of this person and also public perception of kind of the success or failure of this person's values and lifestyle, which is a lot of times what really biopics and biographies are about. You read about somebody because you hate them and you want to find out why you hate them, or you love them and you want to find out why they were great. And so I just kind of like the idea, especially now we've realized, I'd say in the last 5 to 10 years, that rock solid factual information can be spun in a lot of different ways and told a lot of different ways, where it's not technically necessarily untrue, but it's not necessarily representing, the on paper stuff. So I kind of like the idea of a biographer kind of coming to grips with, realizing there's a weight to what he's doing and what he's choosing to do and not do. And this, I think, would particularly work for somebody that they were like, I couldn't think of somebody in recent memory. Like the closest person I could think of was like Andrew Jackson, but where you like think that they're a really great person, and then as you continue to dig and uncover more things, you start to find out that they're kind of a really shitty person.
Right.
So I just kind of like that transition of like admiration to like weighty guilt almost. So anyway, that's just kind of my idea. If there was somebody to direct it, I don't have a person for it as either biographer or the subject, But I feel like it should be Rian Johnson because meta movies are kind of his thing.
Right.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was trying to think of something similar, but I couldn't think of a person to be about. But I was really trying to think of a biopic you could do about someone who got left out of a biopic.
Right.
Like someone who was erased by becoming like a composite character or something of that nature. But I couldn't think of an example, so I didn't go for that. So my last one is actually someone who's already had a biopic about them. I would like to see a movie about Henry Hill after Goodfellas.
Oh no, I think that's super a great idea.
Have you ever read about the shit he got into after he was in the witness protection program?
I know about some of it. I know it's fucking nuts.
It's easily as crazy as the movie. He has like multiple affairs, goes back to selling drugs multiple times. The witness protection program has to move him multiple times. So finally they get him to one spot and they're like, look, if you flame out here, you're done. We're not taking care of you anymore. So, he immediately starts having another affair. And the girl that he's having an affair with is a hairdresser who befriends another girl who she doesn't know is an undercover investigator working for a lawyer, working for the mob.
I mean, that sounds like a great movie already.
It sounds like a great fucking movie, right? So, I mean, I honestly don't know how this isn't already in development.
Can it still be Ray Liotta?
I don't know. I'm not sure the time frame of when this happened, if he would be too old or not.
He's looking, I mean, not that he was ever like super handsome, but he's looking pretty ragged these days.
I'd be fine with him still doing it, but if he didn't do it, who I think might be a good fit? And specifically trying to have a Ray Liotta vibe, Cillian Murphy.
All right.
Dig it.
I got a man crush on Cillian Murphy. I'll put him in anything.
Well, they have very similar hyper blue, but somehow dead eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my third one.
I love it. I feel like we came up with some pretty solid stuff, guys. This is, I think, one of our more actual thought out episodes. At least it felt like it for me.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed all of these. I would watch.
I would watch all of these also. That's great. Well, cool, guys. I think that's it for our biopic pitches. If anybody listening out there has other great ideas for biopics, I'm sure there are plenty of other people we didn't cover. Send them to us at realphonies@gmail.com. We'd love to talk about them. In the meantime, what have we been watching this past week, guys?
I guess we're starting with Mandalorian season 3, as all of
correct.
our episodes are episode 3.
Season 2, episode 3.
As
Mon
all
Calamari,
our episodes,
right? Is this Mon
yeah,
Calamari?
Mon Calamari.
Yeah.
We're not on Mon Calamar, but there are Mon Calamari.
Oh, I thought it was on Mon Calamar.
No,
that makes me sadder.
It does kind of trick you because there are both Kurans and Mon Calamari, which are the two residents of that planet.
Right.
But I don't believe it is on Mon Calamar. No.
Bummer.
So Mando takes his passenger to the planet that he was supposed to go to, where he would find Mandalorians, and gets roped into another side quest, but this one with a little more long-lasting effects. I would say this is all spoilers because it's hard to talk about.
Yeah, this is a pretty spoiler.
There's no way to talk about a second of this that isn't spoilers.
Guys, I fucking love this episode. This may be my favorite episode of the show.
I was thinking about you the whole time I watched this. Man, I knew you were loving it.
If the last one was all filler, this one was all killer.
Yeah, God, I loved every second of it. Because even right off the bat, talking about the Mon Calamari bit and stuff like that, this episode is an episode of Clone Wars in live action.
Totally it absolutely is.
Not just because Bo-Katan is in it, but this is absolutely a plot and characters and side quests, everything that we would have seen in a Clone Wars episode brought to life. Hey, and props to Bryce Dallas Howard. She fucking knocks it out of the park.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Getting on that ship and getting stuff off, that is totally a Clone Wars Rebel type plot. It's every episode of Rebels.
Oh, you're right. It is for sure. What did you guys think?
Oh man, I fucking loved this one. This one was great. Let me tell you what they have really learned in this second year of this. That they've realized that, the money is Baby Yoda. So anytime you put Baby Yoda in danger, there is emotion and there is stakes. Like, when those evil fish guys pushed the fucking Baby Yoda into the Kraken, like me and Sarah were both up out of our seats. Like we could not handle that shit.
Yeah, you're dead on.
But yeah, I mean, of course, Bo-Katan showing up was fucking great. Like we've been waiting for someone from another Dave Filoni show to show up and, like really play a part. And man, that was the correct one to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. No, and bringing Katie Sackhoff back, she voiced that character. I think she may be a little young to be playing Bo-Katan post Empire, but I'm not going to sweat it. And the other two, Sasha Banks and that Italian
can't be
guy
that
from
far off, is it?
I think the timeline would be like Bo-Katan would be in her mid 50s, and I think Katie Sackhoff like just turned 40.
Yeah. Right.
So it's not like super far off, but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Mandalorians age differently because she was kicking a lot of ass.
The helmets really protect the skin.
Yeah, they do a number. But the other two Mandalorian, I thought they were pretty good. I was nervous about Sasha Banks in this, and I thought she was fine. But what really sold it for me is I just think there's like that hallway fight scene. Man, that was great. Being back inside an Imperial ship and seeing them killing stormtroopers, and like I don't know, it just felt like what I imagined Mandalorians killing stormtroopers in real life would look like. And it scratched the itch for me.
I also really like starting to like peel back the curtain on kind of Mando's perception of, his identity and the Mandalorian, the culture, and like actual Mandalorian culture, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So I honestly, I think for me, I think it's a little too early to jump down that road, but I don't know. I still like that. Like he's lived his whole life thinking this one thing, and that this was the way. And now he's being confronted with, oh shit, maybe somebody lied to me.
Right.
There have been a lot of tweets of like after the first season of Mandalorian of people being like, imaginary scene of him meeting Bo-Katan and her being like, boy, take that fucking mask off. Like, and that's basically what we got.
That is exactly what we got.
And it, again, it just works so well. I did want to say, did you guys catch the Apollo 13 Easter egg in this?
No.
So the Razor Crest falling through the sky is the exact same order of shots as the lunar capsule or the return module following in Apollo 13. It's the underneath with the flames. It's the inside with the water dripping, the condensation. And then it's like the aerial shot of it breaking through the clouds. It's the exact same order of shots.
That's
she did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I wonder what inspired her to do that.
Yeah, I wonder.
Another good thing about the show is that, where it's Star Wars, they can get some pretty, high dollar people to play bit parts. Titus Welliver's been in a lot of cool shit, and he was basically just an Imperial guy for like 4 minutes in this show.
Who didn't cast that guy as an Imperial officer before? That's perfect casting.
Totally. That guy has a neck just waiting to be choked by Darth Vader.
100%. Yeah. I will say, prediction, we will not get Ahsoka this week. I think it's 2 weeks.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni directed episode 5. It was the only announcement of who directed what episode before the season started. And that he's got to be the one to bring Ahsoka to live action.
It only seems right.
Yeah. But yes.
And that was a great ending. I didn't think they would give us the whole thing. I thought you will find a Jedi there, but when they straight up said her name, that was a good cheering moment.
Yeah, I was kind of upset about it when I first saw it, because I've watched it twice. I was kind of upset the first time I watched it because I was like, well, that just ruins the surprise. But number one, we all knew it's coming. And two, they've done so much of you go here and you will find the kind of people you've looked for. And we finally have someone be like, this is who you're looking for. This is their name. This is where they're at. And I think it's the same bit, but presented in a new package. And I do appreciate it for that.
Fair enough. What else have you been watching this week, Christian?
I will start off with, I have been playing a crap ton of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remaster. It's so much fun. I have wasted hours just in free skate. it's just a blast. It's amazing to me that, I mean, it has no purpose whatsoever. You just do tricks and then you unlock new levels and you do tricks on those levels and that's all you do
Right.
but I'll do it for 4 hours. And it's a great time. I started reading the Witcher series. I read The Last Wish. And pretty good. I think that's the first book you should read about The Witcher if you're going to read the Witcher series. It wasn't the first book written, but it's a kind of like a collection of stories. Really introduces you into the world and the characters, and I like it. It's better than the show. I did enjoy the show after trying it like 3 times, but the book I was basically instantly into. And finally, I watched DC's Titans on HBO Max. And look, that show is Young Justice presented in the makeup of Batman versus Superman. And that is what it is. I mean, I think that's what it's presented itself as, and that's what it is. But it is better than I have given it credit for. I think the actors are all well chosen for their respective parts. I think the world is fairly interesting. I think they've given us the best interpretation of some of the, for example, I would rather watch Brenton Thwaites or whatever his name is, the kid who plays Robin or Nightwing, and the chick who plays Donna Troy. I'd rather watch them two have a moment of dialogue than Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. Like, you made me choose between that show and Batman versus Superman and Justice League. I'm probably taking Titans. Having said that, it steals a lot from Teen Titans and Young Justice. Obviously, it's those characters, but I think even at one point they say a line of like, us sidekicks got to stick together, and that's like the entire first season of Young Justice. Right. Deathstroke is the villain in the second season, and him and Robin kind of have this secret that they hide from everybody else. That feels like the entirety of Teen Titans. But you know what? I appreciate a thing when it knows what it is. And there's a moment in the second season where Deathstroke murders a guy and a Nickelback song is playing in the background. And that's what that show is. And props to them for being true to it.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I'd say it's worth a shot if you got... Oh, one weird thing is the first episode of the second season is absolutely the season finale of the first season. They just didn't know who they were going to cast as Deathstroke in it. 100% they had that script written and were like, well, we don't know who to cast, so we'll just push that off to the next season. Because it is both the end of the plot of the first season and the start of the plot of the second season in one episode. And it would have been a great cliffhanger. But I just don't think they had all the parts cast and everything yet. But again, I think it's worth a shot.
Are you going to do Doom Patrol?
I will do Doom Patrol. I wanted to start with that one since it was on HBO Max first, but I know I knew they were introduced on Titans, so I figured I would wait for Titans. And now that I'm through it, I will do Doom Patrol.
Why not? Because we did time travel movies last week, I watched the Snake time travel episode of Rick and Morty, and I've decided that's my favorite episode.
It's one of the best, for sure.
It's really good.
I tell you what cinches it for me as being the best. During the whole like snake, only scene where everything's communicated in hisses, there's the one scene where someone warns Snake Abraham Lincoln he's about to be shot, and he opens the note, and it's just a series of S's.
Yeah,
I've watched that episode 5 times, and I lose my shit every time.
That's a really great joke.
And I often say anticipation is the enemy of comedy, but for that particular one, it's gotten to the point now where just when I know the joke is coming, I start laughing before it even gets there. So I'm, way better than Transformers on that. Also, I finished The Boys season 2. Do we have a ruling on this? Can I vote something as being both better and worse than Transformers?
If you can justify it, then sure.
Performance-wise, everybody's really great in that show. And anytime that show is about just the banana shit that would happen if people with superpowers were interacting with the real world, it's great. anytime they try to use this as a metaphor to take on real world problems, it's fucking ridiculous. I said this when I talked about the Umbrella Academy, that Watchmen has already done racial justice as a superhero show. They've done it better than anyone else is going to do it. Let's just stop. Umbrella Academy's attempt at it was cute. This attempt at it was just embarrassing. It just, it was like, oh man, this is a bummer. But overall, it's a fun show. There's one really bad part I want to talk about. There's a part where, a big part of this season is that supervillains have started to appear. And they hadn't really existed before that. It was just superheroes versus regular criminals. And there's one part where there's an active shooter video that they're showing on high school class, but instead it's about superheroes maybe attacking your school. And it's just one of the dumbest, worst things I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, I like this show, but it could be better.
Both better and worse than Transformers.
Yes.
Fair enough. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. This week was actually our last official Ghibli film for the wife and I. We watched From Up on Poppy Hill, which is also directed by Goro Miyazaki, who is Hayao Miyazaki's son. Directed Tales of Earthsea also. It's fun. I don't know why his movies get so much hate. It's not as fantastical as some of the other ones. It's just kind of a high school romance. It does dig into, hang on, I should preface, if anyone listens to this far in the episode and is interested in these movies, this is probably the only spoiler I've ever had for a Ghibli film. But spoiler for this one. It does delve into an anime trope that I wasn't expecting a Ghibli film to get into, but they did. It's incest. You spend it's a high school romance, and you spend about half of it really nervous about how it's going to end. But it's a happy ending, so it's all okay in the end. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's surprisingly engaging. It's 90 minutes, which, as I've mentioned before, is the perfect length for a movie. And despite the fact that it really only has 2 plot lines, it's really, really snappy pacing. So it's just a really breezy watch. At the urging of our friend Zach Evans, I went back to watch an anime called Gurren Lagann, which is a mech anime made by the same people who make Kill la Kill, which is one of my favorite animes of all time. I started it, and I didn't really like it. Zach told me to stick with it, and it was going to get better, and it did, and then it got worse again. So it's kind of this weird bell curve of an anime for me. Sorry, Zach, I didn't enjoy it as much as you did. It's not bad. The middle bit is pretty good, but I think the first 9 episodes are not very good, and the last 7 episodes are not very good. And there's 27, so that's 10 good ones. So, right. Slightly worse ratio than Clone Wars for me. And then the last thing, I don't know if you probably haven't caught up, Hurt, but Ian texted us last night about how good episode 9 of Fargo was for season 4. So I meant to come down on exactly what I don't like about this season. I just mentioned I don't like Chris Rock. I don't like the character he was written to play to begin with, and I don't really like the way that he's playing it. I don't like the Italian brother, which I'm assuming you've met at this point, Hurt.
Yes, I've met the Italian brother, and he is really dislikable. Because
he's a very obviously Hispanic man playing a very Italian man,
right?
And 2, it's just not that Coen movies don't have over the top villains, but he's just, I don't know, it just feels, it doesn't feel right. It feels very hammy in the bad way, right. And I just don't enjoy any time that he's on screen. And 3, I think. When they said at the beginning of this series that it was going to be based on the New Gods apocalypse thing, I think you're thinking of the good parts of that story. But the thing about that story, and I could be wrong about this. I haven't read a lot of comic books. This is just from me watching a bunch of DC animated shit over the last 20 years. But the interesting part about that feud isn't really is it Allfather, right? That's the new right. New Genesis guy. The Allfather versus Darkseid, dynamic. I don't really give a fuck about that. the interesting part of that dynamic is the sun swap and like how the sons grew up in those environments.
Totally, absolutely.
And so to not take that angle is, I think, like just willfully ignoring the most interesting part of the story that you're intentionally adapting. I feel like we definitely should have been spending time, like the boys should have spent several years in these households of people that they were up to the point that they were living there, were raised to believe were, immoral animals that don't even, couldn't even come up with the idea of morals kind of thing. And then to see how they would develop in those environments and then, interact with each other. But that's not the angle they go with. They just recently switched sons, and, it really is about All-Father versus Darkseid, if there is such a thing in this series. So all that shit is boring as fuck to me, and I don't like any of those things. All that said, episode 9 has none of the things I don't like. Great. And props to Ian. It is really fucking good. If they do I'm not going to spoil it for Hurt. If you haven't watched the season, I'm still not going to say that it's the best one, but definitely episode 9 is the best episode of the series by a long shot. And it's it's amazing to me how many things that they can homage and reference without it feeling like obnoxious. Like it gives you like the warm fuzzies of like I recognize it, and it's cool that it's here, but it doesn't feel like they're using it as a crutch for their storytelling. It's a really, really, really well crafted, show as a whole, but that episode is really, really good. So I can't wait for you to watch Hurt. And that's it for me.
No, I gotta get down on that shit, because I haven't watched any more of it, but I need to.
Yeah. But I think that's it for this week. I don't think we have a plan for next week again.
No.
All right.
Thanksgiving movies.
God, is there such a thing? I'm sure there is on a Hallmark channel.
Idea I was going to pitch for you, best pilot episodes.
Oh, it's Lost, bro.
I know it's going to be Lost, but you don't say that now. You say that at the end of the episode about pilot.
Well, actually, let's do best pilots and best shows that had the worst pilots.
Okay.
Yeah,
obviously, you have something in mind for that.
So there's a lot of shows I think that have really bad pilots that turn into good shows.
Right.
A lot of anime for sure has.
Well, for sure anime, but a lot. I think even a lot of of our beloved sitcom comedies have I think bad pilots.
Right.
So all right, let's do that. I like that. Pilot episodes, best and worst of best, or best of, I don't know.
Have we not done this before? I just want to say, because I feel like I've researched pilot episodes before, but
maybe we did do this before.
No, I don't think so. We did 100th episodes of shows.
We did 100th. We did 100th. Yeah.
Let's do that next week. That sounds fun. Join us next week for that. In the meantime, thank you for listening. Please rate, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast. Word of mouth is really the only way that we can get any new listeners. If you have any other suggestions on biopics that you'd like to see, or pilot episodes that you'd want us to talk about, you can reach us at realphonies@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at realphonies, and on Instagram at real_phonies. Thanks Zach Evans for art and Brian Velasquez for our theme. We'll see you guys later.
Later.